It is currently 5:30 in the morning. We flew down to Miami, and then we must fly to Georgia, and then we'll make the big flight to Japan.
A few weeks ago, I got the privilege to venture out of my cozy state of Tennessee and get lost in the hustle and bustle of Tokyo, Japan. My wife and I had to go through airport to airport in hopes of finally getting to the final flight that would land us in the major Tokyo airport, Narita Airport.
So, what hour are we on?
I don't know. I lost count. All I want to know is I want to stop being on planes.
From there, it was a Skyliner trip and a short walk to our hotel.
Here's our tiny hotel. Small desk here. Bed with pillows that don't really count as pillows.
Pretty good view, though.
Great view. And they got us cranes.
Though it would be a long 30 hours since Tiff and I had any sleep, we still had just enough energy to venture out to a few nearby locations and meet a reservation for the Pokemon Cafe, located right next to the Pokemon Center. I had heard that the food wasn't very good and it was more of an experience, but I thought it was pretty good. Maybe the fact that I'd only had airline food the previous day might have supported that idea. After a well-deserved 11 hours of sleep, we switched up our original plans to head to Tokyo Disney to instead head to Nakano Broadway, one of the largest shopping centers and a great place to hunt for retro figures, games, and all kinds of neat stuff. This was probably one of my favorite places and there was just so much to see. And if you're not careful, you can burn a hole in your wallet pretty easily if you're a collector. Bit of a tip though, make sure you bring your passport with you on shopping days, because a lot of places around Tokyo are tax-free, and you'll need your passport to get those benefits. Believe it or not, we somehow spent most of the day in Nakano Broadway and spent the rest of the night resting up.
This is probably one of my favorite places in Japan because it's got a convenience store all devoted to Dragon Quest.
The next day we were off to our original destination, Tokyo Disneyland. My wife is a Disney fanatic and this was a great experience for her. Tokyo Disney, while mostly similar to Disneyland, houses a bunch of rides no longer found in the States. Not to mention that the Haunted Mansion is not only a little different, but was also reworked for the Halloween event, which makes everything set to the theme of Nightmare Before Christmas. Some of the rides, like the Snow White one, were actually a little scary, so I could see why they got phased out. Still, it was a pretty great experience overall.
They're good?
It's very chewy. Very good though.
Our next adventure would have us exploring the streets of Akihabara. While our hotel was centered in Akihabara, we only checked out what was close by, and saved the next 2 days for hitting up everything Akihabara has to offer. Animal cafes, figure shops, and game shops old and new litter each block of Akihabara, and it's easy to see yourself spending an entire day there and barely scratching the surface. Being an avid collector of physical games, retro and new, this was a major part of the trip for me. Finally being able to find physical Switch games that were only digital in the States was a great experience, especially with the Switch not being region locked. Though I didn't think I'd see myself spending a lot of money on figures, I was amazed by what I found. My wife and I were able to snag some great deals for things we've been looking for, and while not the biggest anime fans, we even found some stuff for our favorite shows.
Yoshi, I guess.
Get ready, cackles. I'm about to slam dunk the funk.
There's 8 floors in Mandarake. God, I hope Ryu doesn't show up. Oh god.
The next day would be a little bit different. On the weekends, or maybe just Sunday, I'm not totally sure, the streets of Akihabara are closed so that the residents and tourists alike can walk around freely, which is a great help when you're trying to get from here to there.
Since day 4, how you feeling?
Very tired.
Very tired. Oswaldo. Yeah.
We went to our next destination, Meiji Jingu Shrine, which is a Shinto shrine right in Tokyo. And I gotta say, this has been my favorite part of the trip. The busy streets are fun, but the quiet shrines that Japan has all around is just amazing and you have to experience it. It was such a 180 from what I had experienced up until this point. It was finally our last day in Tokyo, and we would be doing two major goals for ourselves. First, we went to Shining Moon Tokyo for lunch. This place just opened and features a full live show of the hit show Sailor Moon, one of my wife's favorites. We only stayed for lunch, so the show didn't actually happen. And the food was not all that great, probably the least favorite of our trip. The presentation of everything was fantastic though, and keep in mind it's more about the experience. Shining Moon Tokyo is in Minato City, which I believe is where Sailor Moon protagonist Usagi Tsukino was supposed to live in the show. Pretty cool. And for our last major trip, we would be heading to Diver City, which not only houses one of the biggest Gundam shopping centers, the Gundam Base, but is also home to the current Gundam statue, the Gundam Unicorn. Previously, the original Gundam, or the RX-78 for you nerds out there, would tower over the shopping center, but it was only until recently that they replaced him with a Unicorn Gundam. But there is a little RX-78 near the Gundam Cafe where we got some delicious drinks.
Just went to Akihabara Gamers. Surprising lack of games, despite the name.
But after all the fun at the Gundam Base and Shining Moon Tokyo, it was time to get wound down for our super long and super frustrating flights back to the States, don't ask me about it, trip to home.
Well, this about ends our trip. At least we can end it with some Magic Harp Taiyaki.
I'm pragmatic and I don't usually do these types of videos, but it's not every day you leave for Tokyo. I hope you enjoyed, and if you want to see more of what I actually do, it's game reviews and small discussions of games. Check those out if it piques your interest. As always, keep it practical.